Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our little tarot corner. Allie from Totero with another VR. So it has been a hot minute since I've been on the channel, just kind of been stepping back a little bit. And today in particular has been a Sunday fun day cleaning extravaganza around the house. And now that all that is set and we are ready for a new week, I decided to come and play with some decks. So today I'm going to be participating in the hashtag 21 Tarot Questions. Now this is a VR to Lisa and Peggy Papez. During one of their Sunday live streams, their Sunday shenanigans, they designed this list of questions to help us do a fun VR and basically come up with decks to kind of answer these prompts. So, without over-explaining, let's dive in. So the first question is, what is a deck they'll have to pry out of your cold, dead hands? And for me, that is obviously going to be my Solera Occulto. This is a deck that took me forever to get. This is a deck that I sold numerous other decks for, which will come into play later. This is a deck that took me forever to find and took me forever to save up to purchase. Now, of course, the creators are releasing, let's zoom in a little bit here. The creators are releasing Solera Occulto in a Kickstarter, hopefully very, very soon. I think within the next month or so, they said, which it will be released on new, better cardstock like the Crimson Asteria Tarot, which I love that deck, and so I'm really, really glad that it will be on sturdier cardstock because this first edition that I have is kind of papery. Why am I not showing you? Anyway, so they are re-releasing the deck on thicker cardstock that will be more durable. I won't have to be as precious with it. And also there will be some of the cards from their Mercury, Salt, and Sulfur Oracle in the deck as well. I was able to track that down. They actually released some that they found randomly on their website. And I happened to see that Instagram post and I went and snagged one. They weren't expensive. They didn't come with a box or anything like that, though. They were just kind of the loose cards wrapped up in a little bit of plastic and scent. There wasn't any outer packaging, but I didn't care. I wanted to get it. Anywho, so some of the cards from that Oracle deck will also be there, which I think is going to be great for people who have neither of those decks, or for those crazy heads like me that want a second copy of this deck. But yeah, this one, don't ever come for this, this deck, basically. This is one of my babies, and this is my Solera Occulto Tarot. Prompt number 2 is, what is your guilty pleasure deck? So here's the thing. I don't necessarily ascribe to guilty pleasure decks. If I want a deck, if it fills a niche for me, if it fills a purpose, if I find enjoyment using the deck, I don't tend to really feel guilty about it. But I think it also may be however you kind of want to interpret it. For me, I decided to bring in my Tarot of the Everlasting Day. Now, the reason why I see this as a guilty pleasure deck is because this is an AI-generated deck. And that really has people in, kind of up in arms, in conflict. AI decks can kind of be a sensitive topic. But I personally think that this deck is super cool, and I do enjoy using it. So I only call it a guilty pleasure in that there's a lot of controversy surrounding AI art and AI tarot decks. I just think this particular deck really just kind of creates this really interesting fantasy world, and yeah, I dig it. So I'm guessing I'm going to classify this as my guilty pleasure deck. Now, what's cool about this deck is that the creators released 2 decks in one. So they have a single major arcana with a couple of cards that you can switch out. But then the minors, they have a more scenic set of minors, and then a whole set of pip minors. For instance, this is the 8 of Cups in this one. In the other one, it literally is just 8 cups. So they kind of allow you to create your deck the way that you want it, whether you want to use some of the pips or all of the pips or none of the pips. They've kind of left it to whatever you want to use. And I like that. The cardstock on this is really, really nice too. It's, I don't know if it's just me, but it's that cardstock that's like make playing cards style cardstock that to me, for some reason, I don't know. I guess it's the ink or maybe it's the cardstock itself, but it smells like grapefruit to me. Weird thing, I know, but if you know, you know. But anyway, that is my guilty pleasure deck, and that is the Tarot of the Everlasting Day. That was a Kickstarter deck, and yeah, I have not been sad that I have it. Okay, so prompt number 3. What is the deck you wish existed? So technically it's not a deck that doesn't already exist, but it is just a deck that I had in my hands and got rid of it, and now it will not be reprinted. At least that's the plan right now. And that is the Baba Studios Fairy Tale Tarot. That was one of the decks that I sold to try and afford my Solera Occulto Tarot. So I really wish that that it came back into existence or was reprinted at a much lower price than it currently is online. So that is, I don't know, partially cheating, but yeah, that's kind of the deck that I wish existed, or existed for us who do not have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds to spend on a single deck. Okay, prompt number 4. What deck would you give to a new reader? So, you could argue a normal Rider-Waite-Smith, I feel like. You could argue something like the Everyday Witch, if they're into fantasy. Really anything that is kind of Rider-Waite system adjacent, at least, I would suggest for new readers, only because so many of the decks that are on the market, whether or not they are a direct Rider-Waite-Smith clone, they're at least based on the Rider-Waite-Smith system. So I am one of those people that kind of advocates for you maybe learning on something that's really close to the traditional RWS, if not an actual RWS. But case in point, I think the Lucid Dreams Beginner's Tarot would be great for beginners. Number 1, it's on beautiful linen cardstock. Number 2, it's got really pretty soft matte gold edging. And the artwork is incredible in this deck. But what's really cool for beginners is that it has upright and reverse keywords. So if the reader wanted to kind of use reversals, or at least kind of learn the reversals, then this would be a really useful deck to them. This deck also feels very adult and very pretty. And it's kind of like a version of the Moonchild to me in a way. I know that it's not, but it kind of reminds me of that. And so I really enjoy it. Again, it's not a straight up Rider-Waite-Smith clone, but it does follow RWS. And so I think it would be a great reader for beginners. So yeah, that is my deck that I would give to a new reader, the Lucid Dreams Beginner's Tarot. All right, prompt number 5. What deck do you want to get along with, but it just never clicked? This one makes me sad. So, I really love My Pagan Otherworlds by Uzi. I think it is stunning. I love the linen cardstock. I think it is a classic deck that I will probably never get rid of, ever. But it doesn't read well for me. I don't know what it is. These are the extra moon cycle cards that I do not keep shuffled in. I mean, down to the backs, they're stunning. They're beautiful. And I've thought about edging it in a soft, pretty light gold. I thought about maybe trimming it like Dawn Michelle did over on her channel to kind of maybe make it a little bit shorter. It is a beautiful deck. I mean, talk about an art gallery in your hands. But it doesn't give me anything. It gives me messages, sure, but they're nothing spectacular. The reads don't really resonate very deeply. It just, and actually sometimes it just straight up tells me that it doesn't want to read. Like, I won't get any jumpers, or when I do, it'll give me 4 or 5 at a time. Or if I just pull cards, lay cards, it's a completely non-coherent message that, like, it doesn't flow, it doesn't make sense. So it just, sometimes it gives me weird readings, and I don't know what this deck has against me, but I can't bring myself to get rid of it. I just can't. It's too gorgeous. It's too lovely to look at. If nothing else, this is an art gallery in my hands. And seeing as I've had it for as long as I've read tarot, essentially, I may have bought it like in early 2020, but I mean, it's at least 3 years old now. So it isn't going anywhere, but we've just not ever really clicked. And that is The Pagan Otherworlds Tarot by Usi. Okie dokie. Let's see, prompt number 6. What deck do you only keep for the art? So this deck, I'm very sorry. It is very well out of print, very much unavailable, hard to find. I don't know how I came across it one day and it was going for a completely crazy, ridiculously reasonable price, and so I bought it on eBay, and that is the Spolia Tarot. The box was a little beat up, but the cards were pretty much pristine. The original owner said that it was kept and kind of looked through, but it was never really used, so the cards were in phenomenal condition. And I like to keep, so this deck comes with a little white book, and it's got all 12 of the signs, and I keep those separate from the rest of the deck. It also has the 4 elements. So yeah, so I keep those away from the main deck, but yeah, this deck is, the cardstock on it is kind of thick, and that makes it somewhat hard to use. And I don't want to damage it. But every walkthrough that I saw of this deck made me fall in love with it more and more and more. And I always kept it as a saved search. And like I said, one day it happened. And I had been wanting it for a long, long time. But it's difficult to use. I mean, you know, it's incredibly thick. It's a chunk. It's tall. The cardboard isn't the thinnest, so I don't ever want to riffle it because obviously I can't replace it either. So it's essentially, again, another one of those art gallery decks. I can carefully overhand it, and I do, but I don't use it. I don't use it for just everyday readings. When she comes out, it is for a special reading. So I will now stop showing her. But yeah, that is my Spolia Tarot. 100% do not regret. I would 100% buy it again. But it is a deck that I keep for the art. I suppose in the same vein, the same could be said for my Tarot of Delphi. That's another one that's another deck that was just kind of ridiculous the way that I happened to come upon it. And the gentleman selling that was willing to hold on to it for me and let me make payment plans to him to get it. So ridiculously nice. But yeah, that's another one that I keep strictly for art too. Just because I don't want anything to ever happen to it. Okay, let's see. Prompt number 7. What deck did you buy because everyone else did? This is, I don't think this is a major surprise to most people. It's my Druidcraft. I love this deck. I love all of its earthiness. I love the Celtic pagan feel of it. Now, I have trimmed my version. It usually has bigger borders and holds fingerprints like a mad mamma jamma, and it's glossy. But I love this deck. I love everything about it. It appeals to the Virgo in me. It is beautifully... The artwork is beautifully done by Will Worthington. And I am very grateful that I bought it because everybody else did. And yeah, not much more to say about it. I just adore this deck. It's everything. And that is my Druidcraft Tarot. All right, prompt number 8. What deck is over your head or just baffles you? This is another one that I've mentioned before. That is my Spirit Keepers Tarot. This is the Revelation Edition by Annabelle Wynn. I love this deck very much. I do. It is so intelligent and thought out and really well put together, but it's overwhelming. It's got so much packed into each card, and I know that Annabelle herself has said, you know, read it like a straight up RWS. Do whatever you want. The depth is there for you to go into should you choose. And the thing is that I want to, but it's a whole lot. I do have her book of maps, and I also got the journal that goes with the deck too. I had those printed off of Lulu, I think. So I have all the wealth of material that she's published for the deck to look at and use and work with the deck to do a really deep dive. I think I've mentioned in other tags before that this is a deck that I could spend the rest of my life like learning and studying and not get bored. And it's true. But man, there's so much. There's so much, but it's so great to look at, and the colors are just phenomenal. And like I said, you know, I can read it as a straight up RWS and just use it, which I've tried to convince myself to do. But with all the material that she has used to create the deck and all the knowledge that she's poured into it, I don't know. It's a whole lot, but I love it. And that is my Spirit Keepers Tarot. The deck that is over my head or just baffles me. All right. Prompt number 9. What deck surprised you? So, I, like every other person, recently watched Buffy for the first time. I remember when I was younger seeing it on TV and watching an episode here or there, but never really watching the full series. And I, a couple weeks ago, or a month or so ago now, just finished watching the series start to finish. Tried to watch Angel as a follow-up. Couldn't do it, but that's beside the point. The Buffy Tarot deck. I knew that it was going to be a fandom deck. I knew that it was being published by Inside Editions, so I did not have very many high hopes, but I got it anyway. And man, Inside Editions, I feel like really stepped it up with this deck. The minors are illustrated, like the 9 of Scythes or 9 of Swords. You know, when Buffy wakes up dreaming about being a vampire, that's like her nightmare. 3 of Chalices, like it's all illustrated. And I would say 98 to 99% of the cards I definitely agree with, or I can see why they chose what they chose. The only problem that I have with this deck, and I know that I'm not alone because other people have talked about it, like William the Bloody for the Knight of Chalices. Hello. the guidebook. The guidebook is a giant problem. There was reprinting done, or redrawing done of mini cards, and the guidebook just didn't even get updated. So the guidebook is, with some cards, completely useless because it's not even describing the image that's on the card. So I don't know how that error happened, but I know, see, this is one of those cards that I just don't totally get. It's Dark Willow as the Three of Stakes or the Three of Wands. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, like I said, super, super surprised by this deck. Very, very happy with it, aside from the guidebook. And it really does read great. It's a fantastic reader, actually. And it's a lot of fun to use, and to really feel like I understand the story, and to feel like I really understand the deck and what they chose and why, and to be able to pinpoint what I'm seeing in the cards from watching the series. It's cool. It's fun. So it definitely was a great surprise for me to be so usable and so greatly put together. The only problem is the stinking guidebook. But hey, we can't have it all, right? They at least fixed the minors. So good on you, Inside Editions. Thank you. But yeah, that is the deck that surprised me. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer Tarot. And number 10. What deck doesn't really work for you, but you keep it because it's a collectible? I have a couple, but the first one that just jumped into my mind is the Carte Postale Tarot. And for some reason, this deck, I mean, I love everything about it. I love the box. I love the fact that it was created from old postcards. I love the way that it opens. It was numbered very kindly. The packaging that it came in was beautiful. The cardstock is delicious and soft in your hands, but sturdy. The images are beautiful. I love everything about it, but it doesn't, like, I don't know. Again, it's one of those that doesn't really read too well for me. But unfortunately, people have tried to contact this creator about, restocking or trying to purchase this deck, and they've essentially just vanished. I truly hope that they're okay. I truly hope that no harm has come to them. I don't know if maybe they've fallen ill, or if they've just completely changed directions and decided not to do tarot anymore, or I'm not sure what happened. Again, I hope they're safe. I hope that they're okay. But yeah, because of that, it is literally impossible to get. And I know that if I let this go, I would regret it, because again, I'm not sure what the status of this deck is. So, and I don't mind looking at it. Every now and then I'll flip through it and try and see if we can talk. Maybe it's just one of those decks that stays with me in my collection until a certain time in my life, and then it becomes everything. Who knows? But this is not one that I'm willing to let go of, because it is so collectible, and that is the Carte Postale Tarot. All right, prompt number 11. What deck is your favorite gilded deck? That would be my Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. It is in this beautiful handmade pouch that I got from Jess at Jess Reads Cards. I modified a copy of, oh my goodness, the deck that I was just talking about. Oh, the Druidcraft. I had her send me a copy of the Druidcraft Tarot because she wanted it, had it. She had it and rehomed it and wanted it back, but she didn't want to go through the trouble of trimming it. So I texted her and I was like, girl, have Amazon send it to me. I will trim it and I will send it to you. Like, you need this deck. It's too good not for you to have. I'll do the work for you. So because of that, she insisted on sending me something. And so she made me a bag for my Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. I think the gilding on this deck, it's US Games published. This is the mass market, not the indie, but it feels like an indie. So much so that I truly, if the microscopic US Games copyright wasn't on the corner of the back of the cards, I would swear to you up and down that this was an indie deck. That's how great this publication was. And I certainly hope that we see more of that. I certainly hope that publishers maybe start using linen cardstock more. I know a lot of people would be happy, but because of the whole production value and quality, the gilding on this deck is super soft. I've used this deck a ton, and it really hasn't shown much wear at all. I mean, some wear is inevitable. You're going to see it, but it really is in great shape for how much I've used it. And it's not, even though it's shiny, it's buttery smooth. It's not rough. It doesn't hurt my hands. So I love this cardstock, and I love the gilding on it. And that is my Fyodor Pavlov Tarot for my favorite gilded deck. Next prompt, number 12. What deck do you love but hate the cardstock? Oh, this one makes me so sad. This is my Witch's Wisdom Tarot. Now, this publisher is also going to re-release this deck in a different version. So they said that the cards will be smaller. I don't know that they've confirmed the type of cardstock, but I know that I'm not alone in this opinion. The cards are massive, which, okay, that's fine. But the cardstock is complete and total cardboard. It holds a weird warp, and I haven't really used it, but I can't get the warp out. It's just stiff. Like when I use this deck, I have to side shuffle, and even then it doesn't really, like, it's still really clumpy. So it's awful. I had this deck at one point, and then I let it go. And when they mentioned that they were going to republish the deck in a smaller size, they mentioned that the version that's available now with the book, the faux linen cover book, the really soft cover book that's yummy, they said that the book was going to be changed and it was going to be small to go with the deck. So I knew that I wanted to at least have the bigger guidebook if I rebought the smaller deck. Kind of the same thing as the Druid Craft. There's a version that has the guidebook that's the size of the card, so the box is smaller, but then the guidebook is smaller. And whereas the version that I got is in the bigger box because the guidebook is big, and I prefer the bigger guidebooks. The more information, the better to me. If I'm going to use a guidebook, I want the best one. So I rebought it simply because I wanted the version of the guidebook. I don't mind having these cards again, although I really am, like I said, anxious to see what the new version looks like, because this cardstock is just infuriating to me. It's just, I think Lisa's described it as like cereal box, and it's true. Like this is the side of a cereal box that you've cut into a card shape and said, here's a tarot deck. Ugh, infuriating. Anyway, that's the deck that I love but hate the cardstock. Number 13. What deck gives you the willies? Very appropriately numbered. The deck that gives me the willies, I obviously do not have. I shouldn't say obviously. Why would you know that I don't have it? It is a deck that I showed here before. It's the Magicians, Martyrs, and Madmen Tarot by Travis McHenry. I rehomed that one. I couldn't. I really wanted to love it. I thought the idea behind it was really cool, but every time that I used it, I would I don't know. I would physically manifest symptoms. Like I would get kind of nauseous, and I would get kind of like butterflies in my stomach. It just, I don't know. I felt almost like gross using it, and it just wasn't for me. So that has found a new home, but that deck definitely gave me the willies. So it's gone. But that is the Magicians, Martyrs, and Madmen Tarot. Number 14. I can't even read my own writing. What's your favorite deck for shadow work? So I have several decks that I like to use for shadow work that I could have named. I really like my Witch's Tarot by Burning Paper Hearts, the full 78 card version. I love my Lubanco Tarot. I love my Murder of Crows Tarot. Obviously, I love my Bohemian Gothic. The list kind of goes on and on. My El Goliath Tarot of the Crone, like, you know, there's lots of decks to use for shadow work, but one of the ones that kind of feels personal to me is the Pythonic Tarot. This one, I really feel like takes me to a place to really show me what's what. And I know that may sound weird, but it does. It has this way of showing me what I need to know without realizing that I need to know it. But then once it shows me, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So I love this deck for that. And I love this Tower card in particular. I love that we see Kali. I love when Kali is pictured as the Tower card in any tarot deck. I think that's awesome. But yeah, this deck is witchy and the colors are awesome, and it feels like a very personal deck to me. And I love this Hermit card. Yeah, so it's a great it's a great deck for shadow work. I love it. And that is my Pythonic Tarot. These are the backs. I think I showed you, but if I didn't, there you go. Next prompt. What deck do you love in theory, but not in practice? So I had to go into my Purgatory box for this one. And that is the Reclaim Oracle. So as we speak, I have the new Lilifer Tarot on its way by the same creator, by Marion Constantine. And I really wanted to love this deck. For a while I did. I love everything about it. I love her art style. It's got beautiful matte black gilding. The cardstock is really soft and feels nice in hand. I love that we just get pink and black. Like I love everything about it. For a long time, using it would make me angry. And it's not because I didn't see it as a valuable tool, because I do. I think this could potentially be great for people who are able to use it. The problem that I had is I was never able to. This deck did not want to be clear for me, in that I would be reading about something and it would, I would know how I would be feeling. I would go, let's say that I was feeling particularly angry about something or particularly sad or whatever. Like I was able to name my own emotion and it would show me joy. And I'm like, no, like, or it would show me kindness like that. That's not where I'm at right now. So it would kind of like, and for a while I don't know if I'm articulating this. For a while I tried to like figure out like, well, maybe I'm not digging deep enough. Maybe there's more truth to this card than what I think I'm feeling. But that to me sent me in a spiral, because it was like, no, but I'm already able to identify how I'm feeling. And I don't know, like maybe I should have worked with it in a different way. Maybe I should have gone through, handpicked the card that I knew that I was feeling and used that maybe as a centerpiece for a tarot reading, or I don't know. I don't know what the problem was, but it almost felt like it was telling me how to feel. And that wasn't my jive. And it just made me upset. So this one and I do not work. I thought it would be great. I know that there's tons of people who love this deck, believe me when I say I wanted to as well. But it did not work for me in practice. In theory, great, but not in practice. And that's the Reclaim Oracle. Next prompt. Number 16. What deck would you never use to read for someone else? Now, this was kind of hard because I don't read for a ton of people. But when I do, like I'm willing to. There's no problem there. There's very few decks that I keep to myself, but one of them is my Moon Void Tarot. This deck I've shown here before is a deck that does definitely feel like it's only my deck, simply because it feels like it tells my story. This is the first edition, that's black and white and red, not the third edition, I think, that's pink. This one's just black and white with little pops of red. But the character in this deck has long hair, and she wears glasses, and I see myself in her. And so this deck feels like it's literally about me. See, here we go. Now, change this cat out with a chihuahua, and you've legitimately got me in a card. But yeah, so it's just that character that we see in the deck too, except for here we see a companion in the Ten of Cups. But other than that, it's just her or her cat. And so it feels like me. Feels like my deck. Oh, I guess the Lovers too. It just feels like mine. It feels like me, so I don't really use this one for other people just because, yeah, it's special. So that's a deck I don't use for anybody else, and that's my Moon Void Tarot. Number 17, what deck would you never use for yourself? I really don't have any of those. Every deck that I use in my every deck that I have in my collection is one that I would use for myself, though, or a deck that I do use for myself. If I don't use it, except if it's like for the art, like, those extenuating circumstances. Other than that, though, I do not own any decks that I wouldn't use for myself. I just don't. Number 18. What deck could you not bring yourself to buy? So this one is very saddening to me too. I don't remember the name of it, but I know that it's a deck that Claire Mack is, or was funding on Kickstarter. She's the creator of the Faceted Garden Oracle and the Illuminated Earth Oracle. She was coming out with a tarot deck, and I wanted to back it so bad. And when I saw the Kickstarter campaign, I immediately backed it. But then the problem was that the more and more I thought about it, I wasn't sure where it would fit, what I would really use it for. It was kind of one of those, if I buy this, I feel like I'm going to buy it. I'm going to receive it. I'm going to open it. I'm going to look through it. Ooh and ah. And then it's going to go on a shelf. I couldn't see where it would fit in. I couldn't see where I would use it. And so I could not bring myself to back it. I backed out, sadly, and I hate doing that. But I know that the campaign was like well funded, aside from me. So I did not put the deck at risk for not going into creation. It's fully funded and then some, I believe. And a lot of people are excited about it. And who knows, maybe down the road, I reserve the right to change my mind, pick it up, who knows. But at least for right now, I could not bring myself to buy it. And that was a hard one. That was a hard one. All right, so number 19, what is your favorite pip deck? So for this one, I have two. I have my Squid Cake Marseille and my Taroki by Mr. Freiborg. So both of these, that's a straight up lie. The Taroki by Mr. Freiborg is not mass market. The Squid Cake Marseille is, though. The Squid Cake Marseille was actually initially put out as an independent deck by Jess Roller and came out mass market not too long ago by Rockpool. And it is the cutest, comes gilded in pink, the cutest, funkiest, weirdest little Marseille deck. and I'm having a blast with it. This is a deck that I feel like is great for learning Marseille, because her guidebook that comes with the deck, the meanings that she's assigned the cards call attention to the blooms in the card, or the leaves in the card, or exactly why the batons may be positioned the way that they are, or, you know, the traditional way to read Marseille. And so I think that's really, really helpful if you're wanting to learn Marseille, is to have a guidebook that shows you how to read Marseille. But I'm also one of those weirdos. Like, look, if you want to use this deck and read it like a Rider-Waite-Smith, who cares? Like, this Six of Cups could easily be read the Rider-Waite-Smith way. I am one of those blasphemers who, it's a pack of cards, you know. It's paper. It's ink and paper. And you got to do what works for you. If you don't like reading traditional Marseille style, but you love the imagery in Marseille pips, read it like an RWS. Who's going to stop you? Nobody. Who's going to yell at you? Nobody. And if they do, let me know. I'll come beat them up. No. But, you know, it doesn't matter. Life's too freaking short. Who cares? But I do think, see, this is one of my favorite cards in the deck. It has a freaking axolotl on the Wheel of Fortune. Hello. Anyway, I'm obsessed. I love it. But if you, like I said, if you do want to read the traditional Marseille style, the way that Marseille was designed, Jess made her guidebook that way. And so it's a great resource to learn Marseille while not being overwhelming. And it also gives you keywords as well. So great, great deck. And my other one, like I said, is the Taroki by Mr. Fryboard. Now, this one was a Kickstarter that I backed, and I'm in love with it. It comes on this really, really comfortable linen cardstock. There's a little white guidebook. I also have the expansion that turns it into a, what's the word? Minchianti? Whatever. It's like the... Oh, Allie. Oh, it's like the Spoliatero, where it has all 12 all 12 zodiac, and it has the elements, and it has a couple of other cards. So it turns it into that style deck, should you wish, that expansion. But this is just the basic. This is also not the aged one or the vintage version. This is the classic version that's kind of clean and not made to look vintage. But I just think these pips are incredible. I think the colors are luscious, and I love the skulls, and I love the attention to the detail and the colors. Like, this is a great deck. It has all the stuff that I like. So how could I be mad? Like, even the figures have skulls for faces. How can you be mad? I mean, look at that. It's so pretty. So yeah. And like in this card, I love that the magician has like a little pair of pliers there. Like, it's not totally 100% traditional. And I love that on that card specifically. It's like a shoe cobbler. I dig it. I love it. Love it, I love it, I love it. Every time I look at it, I just, sigh with happiness. But that is the Taroki by Mr. Fryborg. Those two are my favorite pip decks. All right, question number 20. What deck slaps you with the truth? Well, y'all know what's coming. If you have been here for any length of time, you know what's coming. It's my Bohemian Gothic. My Bohemian Gothic is a sasshole, if I may say. Does not give two craps about your feelings. Does not give two craps about holding secrets. Won't do it. Won't do it. It's just gonna... Oh, I love dog hair. Life with Chihuahuas. Okay. Yeah, doesn't care about your feelings. Doesn't care about holding secrets, and won't. Will not withhold the truth. will not tell you anything but the truth, will not be gentle. This deck is like a, hey, stupid, get your shit together. And I love her for that. I truly do. I am very, very excited to announce that I not recklessly, I had my finances planned ahead of time in order to purchase the new version of the Bohemian Gothic that's coming out. I believe you can still pre-order it on Baba Studio's website because it is being reprinted. And I ordered the standard size and the limited edition large size, like my Tarot of Prague, which incidentally, I was able to find a regular size Tarot of Prague too that somebody was selling. So I now have 2 versions of that. I'm out of control, but I'm not, because I love it. So back off. It's fine. No, but yeah, I have 2 more copies of Bohemian Gothic coming my way, and I cannot wait to see how the big gorgeous version looks. I might pass out. I just might. But anyway, Bohemian Gothic by Baba Studios slaps me with the truth and doesn't care. Laughs in my face as she does so. All right. And then our final prompt, number 21. What's the deck that got away? So I have 2 here that I want to make mention of. One of them I already did. It is the Baba Studios Fairy Tale Tarot. The other one is the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot. Now, both of those I sold in an attempt to be able to afford the Solera Occulto, which thankfully that worked out. But I'm so sad that I missed those. That I let those go. I really am. Because I knew that I would probably miss them, but I thought, hey, your more important goal right now is to get Solera Occulto. So now, though, Bonestone and Earth... wow. Excuse my little excitement there. Bonestone and Earthflesh. But Bonestone and Earthflesh is being reprinted mass market. So y'all know I'm going to be scooping up a copy of that. I think it's great that it will finally be at a reasonable price point for those of us who do not have it, or those of us who rehomed theirs, or those of us who never had it to begin with. I think it's wonderful that it's coming to an affordable price point for people, and so I'm very excited that that one's coming back. As far as the Fairy Tale Tarot by Baba Studios, only thing that I can do is hope for a reprint. I know that they are stopping production of tarot decks. They've said it a couple times that they're going to be done, but I know that they're printing Bohemian Gothic right now. It's on pre-order to come out this October, I believe. They just released a deck of Bohemian fortune telling cards a couple months ago. They are reprinting or redoing the Baroque Bohemian Cats Tarot to be the Baroque Cats Tarot, or the Bohemian Cats Tarot, one of the two. So it's going to be a little bit different, but they're coming out with another cat tarot, a revised cat tarot. I know that they're going to reprint Alice, so they just reprinted Victorian Romantic last year. So I don't know, man. Here's to hoping that they reprint Fairy Tale, because I know that I am not the only one who would love to get their hands on that one. And it slipped away. I let it go, but I have Solera, so who's upset? Okay, well, I'm done talking now. That is all of the prompts on the 21 Tarot Questions tag. Let me actually skim this really quickly to make sure that I got them all. I feel like I did. Yes, I did. Okay, so we did officially answer all 21. Thank you guys, as always, for listening to me ramble. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you had fun hanging out with me again. Like I said, I know it's been a bit, but life, you know? Anyway, please let me know in the comment section if you have any feedback, comments, questions, concerns, good vibes, good energy, all that fun stuff. And if you feel like hitting that lovely subscribe button, that would be cool too, because I love friends. I don't spam you with new videos, so if anything, mine are a rare treat. No, but thank you guys again for listening to me. As always, appreciate your time. And until the next one, bye.